Hello everyone. Today I am so excited to scrapbook and document my very first ever scrapbook retreat. This was a team retreat with Stampin Up, and this is a photo of all the ladies that came, and then a photo of our team led by Erin Jacobson. So I'll tell you a little more about these photos as we go, and I am following a sketch, so I already kind of know the placement of where I want to put things. But these are just some photos that we took around the retreat center. This was of our table. We had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun getting to know some of these ladies. And then this was one of my roommates for the weekend. Okay, the theme for our retreat this year was a camping theme. It was Camp Scrap-A-Lot. So I think I'm going to bring back in the Weekend Adventures paper. This paper is a great outdoor set. I love this paper. I've already done one layout with it, so it has been cut into, but it has some great sticker options, and we'll take a look at those in a few minutes after we pick our papers. But I am following a sketch, and this sketch uses quite a bit of paper, so we're going to have, you can see we're going to have quite a bit of paper running behind. So let's take a look. I was thinking I want to use this blue paper. Now, I initially thought this paper looked like a splattery Starry Night, but I have since learned that this is representing the enamel like on the camping coffee pots and cups. You'll notice on the sticker sheet we have a coffee kettle and a cup in that pattern, and I never put it together until someone pointed that out. So I still love this paper, and I think it matches all the blue in our pictures. So I think I still want to use some of that behind these pictures. So I think we're going to use this as our middle strips. And then the back side of that is this hiking paper. And this is one of my favorite sheets in the whole set. So I think we're going to use it as the strips that flank each side. You'll see we have this big piece here and a big piece here. So we're going to use the blue as our big piece on this side, and this is our big piece on this side. And then we'll be stretching some across to bring the colors across the page. So let me go ahead and get these strips cut down, and I will be right back. All right, I have my strips cut down, and I have the left side adhered down, but I didn't adhere this side down because I wanted to show you a little tip. If you'll notice our strips, we have enough strips that we are covering the entire base of our layout. So I am going to use, I have a book of papers that I will probably never use. So I grabbed one of those pieces of papers out of there, and so I'm going to stick my layers down on top of this. Just helps save a little bit of cardstock and helps you use some of that old paper that you will probably never use, because once we put our layers down, you'll never know what was under it. So I'm going to do this so that I can save some of that cardstock. So let me get these layers down right quick. We'll just layer it up on this just like we would our cardstock. And no one will ever know what was under it, and it helps get rid of some of that paper that just sits around that you will never use. So we're just going to butt these pieces right up next to each other. They are cut exactly to the strips equal exactly 12 inches across when you get it all down. So we'll just put those right up next to each other. And there you go. No one will ever know that is just old paper behind there. I did go ahead and add a strip. This right here is from the same paper pack. It's on the back side of the buffalo plaid, but I added this strip of black that'll help make the flow better give us a little separation between those pattern papers right there. So let's go ahead and bring our pictures back in now. And we'll need to get some photo mats cut. I have already backed my photos in white. Seems like the white just makes it pop off of whatever other color you add on there. So I'm thinking for our mats, you'll notice in this paper, one of the colors in this paper pack is Cajun Craze. And this paper has some little stars on it that are the Cajun Craze colors. Okay, I have our Cajun Craze mats. So let's go ahead, and the sketch called for this one to be a little longer. So we're going to, and then our title is going to set on that there. So let's get all these mats put under. These two pictures will go on one mat. And then we have some mats for these pictures over here. This Cajun Craze goes very nicely with this paper pack. All right, so there's all our pictures matted. Now for our embellishments, I am going to use some of the embellishments that were made that were part of the little sprinkle set that we got. Someone made this little set right here, and it had a tag, this little tag. This is going to be our title, and then it had a little geotag. So we want to put our title on this little piece right here. And then I was thinking for another cluster, we could build right here around this geotag. And I thought maybe putting this here, but I think it blends into the brown. So I think we're just going to slide that right in behind this picture here. We can scoot it down just a little bit. And that looks great up there. All right, I have some little trees that I had stamped. Those come from the Peaceful Evergreens. This stamp set is retired, so it is no longer available. But I wanted to use these little trees. I was thinking we could build a little cluster with right around this geotag. And then I thought these would look good right here above, right on that little tag right there. And then I also, while I was looking through, I found this set called Light the Year. This is also a retired set from last year, but it has this little pine cone in it. And so I thought we would stamp out some little pine cones. I already have the little pine cones loaded up on my block. We have a body stamp here and then a detail stamp that goes on top. Let me just move this right here to the side. And then we're going to bring in some scrap paper. So I got a strip here, got a little foam, and here's our strip to stamp on. We're going to be stamping in Pecan Pie and Early Espresso. So I thought we would stamp the body here in the Pecan Pie. So we'll stamp some of those up. Stamp 3 or 4 of those. I'm leaving a little room, whoops, leaving a little room in between because I do have a die cut that will cut some of these out. So there's our little bodies. And then for the detail, this Pecan Pie will dry back just a little bit lighter. So this is Early Espresso will pop off of that. It's going to be a little darker. You're just going to line it up right over the top. And it just adds a little detail around those little pine, around in the middle of that. So we'll stamp a few more of those here. Oops. I don't think that'll get on there. I got a little bit on my finger. There we go. All right. And we'll just get these inks put away. And then we will cut those out. I'll take my little die cut here. We'll line it up. And we'll run it through the die cut machine and cut out some of these little pine cones. All right, I have those little pine cones cut out. So let's get our paper moved back over here. And we'll get some of these little pine cones added around in our clusters. I was thinking we could add a couple up here. Around this little tree. And then maybe a couple around our title here just to bring them over to this side. There we go. All right. And I think the brown on the brown here might be a little too much. So I think those two clusters will look good right there. All right, let's get these clusters adhered down. I'm gonna start with the pine cones since they're in the back. I'm gonna I'll put one just over the picture. We'll do the tree. And then I think we're gonna pop this up. So I have my Stampin Dimensionals here. I'll just put a few around the edge of this. Get the backing off of those. All right, we're gonna pop it up right there. And then I've also popped the title. I've already put some on there, some of the Stampin' Dimensionals. Let's get these pine cones down first. I'm just going to have those coming right out of the corner right there. And then we'll get the backing off of this. I like popping some items up. It just gives the page a little more of a 3D dimensional look. All right, and we'll get these trees. I think we're going to clip this off. That way we could make the other end into another little tag. So let me see here about how long we want that. Just going to clip that right across here. You can use that part on another project. Slide this down in right about there. Put a row of trees back down. All right. I think I didn't put the picture down. There we go. All right, we have all of that adhered down. I also have the Scenic Adventures dies. This die is a great set to have in your stash. I've showed this on here on some of my videos before, but today I'm just going to be using the little mountain range here and this little tiny tree. I thought we would just add a little mountain right here just to bring out the mountains. We were in Colorado, so there was lots of mountains around. I'm going to cut that out, and it doesn't cut all the way through. When you cut, it just kind of it'll cut it around the top, but it doesn't cut the bottom out. So you can kind of make it as long or as short as you want. I left it a little long to give me some room to tuck down behind. First, we're going to do a little edge distressing to give these a little shadow, make them look a little more realistic. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. Let's just move these over. I'm going to bring in some scrap paper here. And I'm going to be using my basic gray ink. We'll get this open. Get us a blending brush. And then we're going to get some ink on there. And you always want to tap off because it's going to be harsh at first. But then you're just going to kind of go around the edges, and it's going to just add a little shadow around the edge. Let's get the tops of this one. You don't want to get too much. You just want it to look like a little shadow kind of coming around the top there. All right. And that just gives that a little, makes it look just a little more realistic when you get it on your page. So let's get this ink out of the way. Move our scrap paper. And then we'll get this mountain range glued into place. All right. I think I'm going to put some dimensionals on this front piece here. Just add 2 or 3 across the top here. And that's just going to make it stand off that little small mountain from the back. And give it some little more of that 3D realistic looking effect. All right. We're going to add this in just right under the edge here. Go down. So I'm not going to mash it down till we get our little piece in here. Get that tucked right behind here. Glue that to the paper, and then we'll have that popped up on that foam tape. There we go. It just looks like it has a nice shadow across it. Perfect. I'm loving the way this is coming together. All right. Now for our journal spot, I have cut a little card. I believe this is about a 2.5 by 3.5. It's just a little square, and I stamped some lines on it with the Just a Note stamps. It has that nice line stamp. You can get some nice straight lines, and we're going to put this right here. I believe we're just going to put some little trees around it. Let me ink distress around the edge of this. We'll do that with some Early Espresso ink. That way we'll help it stand off that page just a little bit. And it didn't stamp all the way, but I'm going to put my trees down across the bottom down there. So we'll just stamp up, give this a little outline of color. Right. That's going to help that stand off that page just a little bit. And we're going to glue these trees down. And maybe get another little pine cone in there. I think the pine cone is too big in proportion to these little trees, so I think we'll just leave it little trees. And I don't have a lot to say on this page. I have more pictures from this retreat, so we'll tell more of the story on those. So let's get this little note card put down. We'll add the trees right around the edge here. All right, and I have one more stamp. This is from the Love This Moment stamp set. right here, this little stamp that says highlights. I'm going to stamp that right across the top of my journaling here. So we'll just find the little stamp that says highlights, just right here. Get that off the carrier sheet. Put it on a little block. And we'll go ahead and just do that in the Early Espresso. Stamp it right there. Because on this little note card, I'm just going to kind of put the where we were, what we were doing, and the dates, just so that I remember where this is. Okay, I'm also going to add some little trees. These are the little small tree from the Scenic Adventures die set. I'm just going to add that right around the end of this little mountain range here. I'm going to put one right here in the front so it looks a little popped out from the others. All right. And then from the sticker sheet, I also have a couple little word stickers. Exciting day. I thought we could put that right across here. And then better together, because we did have a lot of fun all together. I believe we'll add that one in right there. And let's put it right here at the bottom. That'll give it, there we go, I like that. All right, if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up and like and subscribe to my channel. It helps me out. I'm trying to grow my channel on YouTube, and I appreciate any support that you can give. We'll get you a close-up of the second page. All those little, got those popped up. Our little journal block. All right. If you have any questions or need any help with anything ordering from Stampin' Up, I'd be glad to help you out. Any products I use that are still available, I'll list down in the description box below. Until next time, have a great day.